Hello, Patriots, praying citizens, and truth seekers. Today is Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018. I have missed you all. I have been away, and I'll tell you a bit about it at the end. It was kind of exciting. I went to Washington, D.C., and I saw the swamp firsthand, deep inside the swamp. But let's get to the news for today and the Q posts. We're going to start with today's, and we'll work our way backwards. I want to start with this review from my newsletter, and because there's so much going on with the Trump investigation and what the Republicans in Congress are doing and the things that are coming out. I'm not going to get real deep into it because it's hard to follow, and I don't think it's necessary. And I know everyone has a limited amount of time. That's why I try to keep my reports really concise and quick, so you can get in, get out, and get on your way. So let's start with this. It's a tweet from Trump on May 19th. He says, if the FBI or DOJ was infiltrating a campaign for the benefit of another campaign, that is a really big deal. Only the release or review of documents that the House Intelligence Committee, also Senate Judiciary Committee, is asking for can give the conclusive answers. Drain the swamp. And here's something funny. Do you know there are two sinkholes that opened up on the front lawn of the White House, and they are growing progressively bigger. At this point, they're just like a foot across, but I thought that was pretty funny. You can't see them because you can't get on the White House front lawn, but the reporters are out there, and they saw it. Took a picture of it. It doesn't look like much now, but DC is built on a swamp, so the whole drain the swamp thing is pretty accurate. Now, was Obama, his administration, in collusion with Hillary Clinton spying on the Trump campaign? So yes, and it looks like they're the ones that are the colluders. As new facts are being discovered every day, it may be that the Obama administration was in league with the Clinton campaign to put plants inside the Trump campaign. Now, there are several things that have been uncovered in the past weeks that point to the evidence of Obama directing this whole thing, and that includes the exposure of one of the spies, and today it came out that what his payments were. Now, so we're going to back up to July 31st, 2016. The FBI opened a counterintelligence investigation against Donald Trump. FBI agent Peter Strzok went to London for interviews with United Kingdom intelligence officials. Strzok referred to this as Operation Crossfire Hurricane in texts to his girlfriend, Department of Justice lawyer Lisa Page. He also described an insurance policy needed in the event that Hillary lost the election. And it looks like that was he and Lisa, possibly, and also John Brennan, the former CIA director, and three other people were caught on camera by CCTV in London. So we're going to look at that on Q. All right, so this whole thing led to the development of the phony dossier paid for by Hillary's campaign and the Democratic National Committee in order to suggest that Trump and the Russians, whoever they are, colluded to tip the election in Trump's favor. Okay, so the name of the one informant came out. His name is Steph Halper. He's ancient. He's like in his 80s. So he was working to entrap low-level Trump campaign aides. His name is Steph Halper, an American citizen living in England. He's a professor at the University of Cambridge, and he has a history of low-level spying in American campaign. Now, his cover is that he was an advisor to 3 Republican presidents. He's well known in the Intelligence Committee. His father-in-law was chief CIA analyst during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, that guy is dead. Okay, so let's get to Donald Trump's, Halper's not dead, the father-in-law's dead. Let's get to Trump's tweets. This was just a few minutes ago. He said, if the person placed very early into my campaign wasn't a spy put there by the previous administration for political purposes, how come such a seemingly massive amount of money was paid for services rendered, many times higher than normal? Follow the money. The spy was there early in the campaign and yet never reported collusion with Russia because there was no collusion. He was only there to spy for political reasons and to help crooked Hillary win, just like they did to Bernie Sanders, who got duped. All right, so the meat of it is Halper received juicy contracts from the Pentagon. He was paid more than $1 million between 2012 and 2018. He received the first half of a payment of $411,575 on September 26, 2016, 3 days after a news report was released that was used to justify a FISA warrant to surveil Trump associates. Then, on July 26, 2017, so we're looking at like a year later, not quite, Halper received the second half of the payment, and 2 days later he emailed a man named Carter Page, a former Trump campaign aide, probing for information to find out if Page was still an insider. Page wasn't. He was not hired by Trump when he was inaugurated. Carter Page was just this, he was kind of, I think he might have worked for Trump for a couple months at one point. But here's Halper sending him an email trying to find out, hey, what's going on? And, you know, I read somewhere that he was actually trying to find a job inside the Trump White House. So this suggests that the spying operation was ongoing. Halper's infiltration of the Trump campaign corresponds with 2 of the targets in Operation Hurricane. He's a key witness of FBI corruption, but he's not been seen since September of 2017. Now, according to Michael Caputo, another former Trump campaign aide, the Obama administration used 2 or more informants. He added that Obama used other agencies besides the FBI to infiltrate the campaign and the administration. He's apparently talking to his lawyer, and he may spill the beans even more about what went on. But I haven't heard that yet. President Trump reacted to these new revelations, tweeting on Sunday. He said, I hereby demand, and will do so officially tomorrow, which would have been Monday, that the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI/DOJ infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by the people within the Obama administration. Trump met for about an hour on Monday with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and Director of National Intelligence Daniel Coats. This was one day after the Department of Justice asked Inspector General Michael Horowitz to investigate Trump's claim that his campaign may have been infiltrated by the FBI for political purposes. Now, following their meeting, it was announced that Republican House members Trey Gowdy and Devin Nunes will attend a meeting this Thursday in 2 days to review the information with FBI Director Christopher Wray, the DNI, Dan Coats, and Acting Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General Ed O'Callaghan. And Q refers to this guy. Now, O'Callaghan is a veteran prosecutor, and he functioned as the, quote, right hand to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who, I might add, is conspicuously absent from all of these proceedings. Now, quietly under the radar, where Attorney General Jeff Sessions loves to live, there is this quiet investigation. Now, this was news weeks ago, but Q wanted us to talk about it again. So, Sessions sent a letter to Representatives Bob Goodlatte from Virginia, Trey Gowdy, South Carolina, and Chuck Grassley from Iowa, all Republicans, informing them that U.S. Attorney John Huber, who's from Utah, is conducting a full-fledged criminal investigation into all of these matters. Huber has been quietly doing so since November 13th. So he's been at it for quite a few months. Huber was ordered by Sessions to team up with Inspector General Horowitz on all matters related to the investigation. Horowitz has a staff of 470 investigators, which is more than any special counsel could have. That's why this legal scholar named Jonathan Turley, from which this information comes, an article that he wrote, that we shouldn't be worried about not having another special counsel or another investigation because this guy Huber is functioning as such. Now, the Inspector General's jurisdiction is to conduct civil and criminal investigations, and it includes actions taken by former employees after they have left government service. Huber can act on any of those matters and is able to impanel a grand jury and file criminal charges, which he can do anywhere. He doesn't have to do it in the swamp. He can go to red districts, to Trump country, and he can pull grand juries from there. And that's really good news. Huber can hold people accountable even for actions that do not violate a specific statute. Law scholar Jonathan Turley calls this a brilliant move by Sessions that combines the powers of the IG with the powers of a line prosecutor. Now, Q also wanted us to note that Huber was actually a U.S. attorney under Barack Obama. And then Trump called for all, I think there were 45 or 46 of them, to resign. And then Trump rehired the ones he wanted. And someone on the 8chan board suggested that it's possible that if Barack Obama is found to have been president when he was ineligible to do so, and we'll talk about that in a minute, then everyone that he appointed would be fraudulent as well. Now, I don't know about that, but that's what this person suggested. And so the fact that Huber was fired by Trump and then rehired means that he is functioning as one of Trump's appointees, not as an Obama person. Okay, now there's one more part of this. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, Republican, wrote a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray on Monday demanding answers related to the FBI's investigation. He wants to know why Deputy Attorney General Andrew McCabe, who is no longer at the FBI, gave CNN information about the phony Trump dossier. So McCabe shared classified information with CNN the day after he briefed President-elect Trump about this salacious and unverified phony dossier. So, basically the FBI knew CNN was about to release the details of Trump's briefing. McCabe wrote an email to senior FBI officials with the subject line, "Flood is coming," and "CNN is close to going forward with the sensitive story." He also wrote, "The trigger for them," CNN, "is they know the material was discussed in the brief and presented in an attachment." Okay, none of this was ever supposed to be released, but they needed to release it. Why? So that they could start this whole Trump collusion with the Russians, a whole investigation. So as soon as this he wrote this, then he immediately sent an email to the Deputy Attorney General and Principal Deputy Attorney General, and he said this, "Just an FYI, and as expected, it seems CNN is close to running a story about the sensitive reporting." Sometimes it makes your blood boil, doesn't it? Okay, and then finally, the story was published 2 days later by CNN, and then BuzzFeed News published the entire phony dossier, which started the FISA warrants and was used as quote-unquote proof that this whole thing needed to be looked into. And it was just it was just completely phony from the get-go. Now, Ron Johnson is chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. He wants to know who knew about the dossier and how the information was given to reporters. These people, when you're praying, we all need to remember these people that are trying to do good. They're trying to push forward and fight the enemy, Leviathan and Behemoth in Washington, D.C. Okay, one final thing. There is a report that's coming up on the FBI and the Clinton email scandal. The IG's report, that's the Inspector General. Now it's due out shortly. The investigation is linked to Anthony Weiner's laptop, in which top Clinton aide Uma Abedin, who is also Weiner's wife, stored Hillary's classified documents. These documents are expected to further prove the Clinton scheme of pay for play, where foreign donors to the Clinton charity were granted favors by the Secretary of State. The FBI's Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, who was recently fired, knew about Hillary's emails on Weiner's laptop for a month before obtaining a warrant to review them. The Inspector General notified lawmakers that he completed a draft of his report, this is recently, on the last couple of days, on the FBI's handling of the Clinton investigation. This was so that they can prepare rebuttals to the report. Can't wait to see what the Democrats have to say about that. Now, why this matters? Okay, it's all starting to take a toll on the Democrats, even though they're fighting it. James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, he's been newly hired by CNN as an analyst, which is payment for all of this. I did a whole report on that. He and John Brennan remarked recently that it's a good thing the FBI spied on Trump. But for the first time in the 2018 midterm election cycle, a Reuters poll is showing that generic Republican candidates are beating their Democrat opponents by 38% to 37%, even though Democrats held a significant lead just a few months ago, and we still have time before those elections. So we're going to pray at the very end. I'll come back to this. Now let's get to the Q posts. Sorry it took so long to get through all of that, but you know how this stuff is. You have to lay the foundation before you can start looking at things. Okay, we're going to go to this one first. This is post number 1434. Reread slowly and carefully. Now that was what I went over regarding Huber, and this is a Breitbart article from Jonathan Turley. And so we talked about that, and he said, did you see the Ryan PR interview a short time ago? And that was Paul Ryan deciding that he is not going to run for re-election. Q says, when you are no longer seeking another term, you are free to make better decisions. Rapid fire, flood is coming, future proves past, CNN, Q. So this makes me think that Ron Johnson demanding of answers about CNN and FBI is going to be a flood when it all starts coming out. Okay, now this is the lovely and gracious Nellie Orr. Nellie Orr is a specialist on Russia. She is probably a spy. She's the wife of Department of Justice Deputy Bruce Orr, who's been demoted several times according to Q. But she was also paid by the firm that put together the phony dossier with Hillary's money called Fusion GPS. And she applied for a ham radio license a month after Fusion GPS contracted with MI6 agent Christopher Steele in the phony dossier, and Steele put the dossier together. Why would she get a ham radio operator's license? It doesn't make sense unless she was trying to evade surveillance. And Q says, avoid NSA data collection. It failed. Q. So they've got that too. Okay, now we'll go up to number 1436. All right, this is a memo from Christopher Wray. It's page 2, memo dated May 21st. 2018. It says January 8th, 2017, 12:08 p.m. Then FBI Director Andrew McCabe sent an email to senior FBI leadership with the subject line, "Flood is coming." Mr. McCabe wrote, CNN is close to going forward with the sensitive story. The trigger for them, CNN, is they know the material was discussed in the brief and presented in an attachment. Okay, that was the last story I talked about with Ron Johnson. And then 12:55 p.m., Mr. McCabe emailed then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates and then Principal Deputy Attorney General Matthew Axelrod with the subject line news. Mr. McCabe wrote, just an FYI, and as expected, it seems CNN is close to running a story about the sensitive reporting. Now this is a post from an anon on the HAN board. Rapid Fire equals a movie by that name involving a corrupt FBI. Flood is Coming equals FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe sent an email with the subject line Flood is Coming, indicating CNN is going to run a sensitive story. CNN equals CNN is targeted, but then so is McCabe for classified information to them. And Q says, it's happening. All right, there has been all kinds of junk out there about Q's not real, Q's a LARP, people are fools for following Q, and Q is like, okay, let's end this once and for all. So here's a picture. I got a better one of this little guy show you. So this was taken 11/9/17. It's a picture from he says Air Force One 5A 2.png. Here's the picture, okay, and then here's the bigger look at it. And then Q shows that this is part of a series, and he just posted this one today. So we see that this is part of a series, the same person has these shots, and it is the same Q as we have always had, not a new Q. So those, people are going on my channel and just writing, Q is a LARP, you people are stupid. Well, you know what? Don't bother. I can say that, and the people, I'm talking to the choir, because you all who are hanging out with me are the ones who are on board. And anyway, we just pray, Father, just keep those people off this channel. Thank you in Jesus' name. Okay, Air Force One pics from the same set as November 2017. Q trip code equals proof that Q equals same Q as always. Direct SOT at Corsi et al. And Q says, identity reconfirmed. And then look at 11/9, sequence, attacks anticipated, coordinated. Why are they continuing? Internal, question mark, attacks will intensify, all sides, Q. Okay, then the last one from today, and then we'll go backwards. Unity, not division. Last post was simply for identification reconfirmation. And then he has this article here, which is from Fox News. The FBI and the DOJ to brief lawmakers on handling Russia probe on Thursday. We talked about that. Who is missing from the scheduled meeting? Rod Rosenstein. Who is Ed O'Callahan? Acting. Ed. Declassified. Payne. Enjoy the show. Q. Okay, so Ed O'Callahan is he's just kind of filling in. Well, Q gets into it in an earlier post, so we'll go ahead and go down to that. So from May 21st, yesterday, Q says military operation green light. General K. I suppose this means General Kelly. His name is John F. Kelly. Full disclosure, general statement, once the extremely guarded and highly classified information is finally revealed to House investigators, DNI, public, etc., Rod Rosenstein must recuse or forcefully terminated. Rod Rosenstein has problems. What was his Senate confirmation vote? It was like 94-6. 94 pro, 6 against. Ray reports to Rod Rosenstein, which is an important fact. Okay, so it's like this. The Department of Justice is on top and the FBI is under the Department of Justice. Jeff Sessions has recused himself. So the top guy is Rod Rosenstein and Ray reports to him. Who do you trust? Well, Q has told us, trust Sessions, trust Ray, trust Pompeo. Rod Rosenstein recused or fired who has direct oversight of Mueller. So if he's gone, it's either Sessions unrecuses himself or there's a number 3 person, which is Ed O'Callahan. Then he says, who is Rachel Brand? Okay, we're going to look at that. Rachel Brand was the 3rd ranking official at the Department of Justice, and she stepped down in February to take a job at Walmart. I'm not kidding. And she's not going to be standing at the door saying, would you like a buggy? She is going to be Executive Vice President, Global Governance, and Corporate Secretary. So I suppose she's already in that job. And she resigned back in February. Okay, so Q says that date is important. Why was she dismissed? She's been around for a while through a couple of administrations, and he says think timing. They needed her out of there when all this stuff starts to hit the fan. Then this is a quote from this Justice Department website. The succession, at least I think it is, maybe not, I don't know. The succession question is actually a bit complicated. By default, under an obscure statute known as the Vacancies Reform Act of 1998, Brand's temporary successor as the acting associate attorney general is her principal deputy, Jesse Panuccio. That same statute would also allow the president to choose someone else to serve as the acting AAG on a temporary basis for up to 210 days, or 7 months. The pool of individuals from which the president could draw in this case includes individuals already holding Senate-confirmed positions elsewhere in the executive branch. I hate when it does this. Like EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt, who's under a lot of fire because he's dismantling that entire department and they hate him for it, or senior civil service lawyers in the Justice Department specifically. So acting. So let's look at this. Meet the acting Associate Attorney General, Jesse Panuccio. He kind of looks like a kid, but I think he's probably in his 30s. And that just kind of gives his bona fides. And there wasn't a whole lot. This is that Department of Justice website. There's not a whole lot of information there. When does the clock run out? So the clock runs out in September. Then it says, why is Schneiderman's... Okay, in September, it's interesting because Rudy Giuliani said he thinks all of this is going to be over by September. Whatever he meant. Over by September. So those two dates coincide. Why is Schneiderman's removal extremely relevant? Okay, so he's the guy that just left as Attorney General, not Attorney General, U.S. Attorney for New York. Trust blank Sessions. These people are stupid. D5, which is the chess move. Q. Okay, now we're going to go down one more to the 20th. And I'll tell you, I was out because I don't want to get too personal with this stuff, but it's pretty exciting. Someone I care deeply about was sworn in a special position in the government, and my husband and I went to D.C. to attend this ceremony. It was lovely, and I met a lot of really good people. Now, the people I met were mostly political appointees, meaning they came in with Trump, and when Trump took office, in order to get his people in place, they have these WALO offices, which is White House liaison offices in the different departments, the Pentagon, the State Department, whatever. So they can get people in and fill the slots and put Trump people in, or whatever administration. Everybody will have one of these things. And I met mostly people who have been put in because of Trump, but there were some people there that were, I don't want to give it too much away because I just don't want this getting back and causing problems for anybody. But anyway, met some great people, and every single person that I met wants to do a good job. They're not so much concerned about who the president is, even though they're political appointees. They just want to do right by the American people. So when we get angry and when we start throwing stones at the swamp, let's remember there are good people there. There are godly people there that love the Lord, that love Jesus, and think that they are serving Him first and then us, the American people, second. So I just want to give a shout out to anybody who's from the swamp, but who's not part of the swamp. I just thank you for your service. And then while we were leaving D.C. today, there was a flight, a hero flight. So they bring in veterans. They're all, like, my dad fought in the Second World War, and my dad's been dead for a long time. And these were men that were in wheelchairs, all of them, because they're so old, I mean, they're in their 90s. And they come to DC, and when the plane pulls into comes towards the terminal, the fire trucks are there, and they make a, a canopy of water for the plane to go through. It's just really special. So, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. There's a lot of goofy liberals that are lovable. And there's a lot of people that are just completely misguided. They don't know the truth. You can go through the 9/11 memorial. And did you know that 9/11, that the Pentagon was built, the day they broke ground was 9/11 in I think 1941. Isn't that, I mean, that's just beyond. Q says there are no coincidences. But, you know, well-meaning people, there are good people that died in 9/11. There are good people that are liberals. Lots of good people are liberals. So let's not be harsh to judge people. Okay, that my sermon's over. Q posted, I'll read this one first. He posted the Ephesians 6:10 through 18 verses about putting on the full armor of God, standing firm, praying in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests, being alert, keep on praying for all the saints. And then remember love. Love is patient and kind, not envious, doesn't boast, it's not proud, it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrong. It doesn't retaliate. Justice is not retaliation. So I just want to let's all be reminded that we're talking about people here, not just concepts. Okay, I guess the last thing, I don't really probably need to go over this last one. This is just about Trump's executive order, but I think we'll see once we see it written, letters left visible to match. They're going to match something, a picture that Q posted. And, oh, this is a thing I wanted to go to. Let me see. Okay, now let's look at May 20th in case you missed it. This is a bunch of pictures from post 1423. Notice it says NSA traffic cam rotation 1. And then it goes through up to, I think, 4 or 5. So I'm going to go to a website called Neon Revolt. This person does a great job of reviewing things and also blows pictures up so everybody can see them, and I can have it all in one place. Okay, so this is London, and this is the Ferris wheel. Notice how it looks like a backwards Q, just kind of interesting. So here are these pictures, and these are part of this whole batch that was taken a different time of year. People in coats. Okay, and Q has shown us these before. This is the Corinthian Hotel in London, which is probably a spy base, and it's part of a whole slew of these things, hotels all over the world, and it's very possible that there are other nefarious purposes for these things. Okay, so you'll notice that the older post is from February 16th. And UK Stay Alert Q. It's the same traffic cam, it's the same. These are the same shots, and these are just different rotations of the same shots. Okay, so let's go back to Q. And he says, note the time, note the vehicles on the road, compare against February 16th, 18, 6 surveilled, so 6 people, high value targets, UK, US, US, UK, Q. And there has been some speculation that this is Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, John Brennan, and 3 other people. Then this, Payne, JPEG. Trump demanding that he will officially demand that the Department of Justice officially look into the spying on Trump for political purposes. And if Obama's tied in. And Q says follow the pen, so this is where we're going to see the EO when it comes out, and we're going to executive order, and we'll see the the pen that was used, and from an earlier post, Q took a picture of the EO because it was already written when this tweet was put out. Coincidence, the attacks will only get worse. They are losing all control. Q. And then this one, move it over so you can see, 1425. New Q again. Someone posted this, and Q says, given we have now undeniably on purpose verified ourselves to be an inside source, expect the mainstream media clown army to attack in full cooperation with foreign and domestic assets. Be prepared, trust the plan, conspiracy no more, we are in full control. Pain, Q. And then this, I love this shot. I was way over here somewhere. We are Q. This is from the inauguration, and it was amazing. It was just amazing. Where we go one, we go all. JPEG. We are Q. All together, all of us are Q. And then Forgotten Country. Q's picks today seem to be a few seconds after the February pick. In the Feb pick, they are crossing the street, reaching the median. In today's pick, they have crossed the median and have begun crossing the street. The two people walking on the sidewalk on the right side of the picture are walking toward the camera. And Q says rotation. ROT equals rotation, Q. Okay, and then here is the one about Obama's birth certificate. Before I get to that, let's look at this one. Clarification, we exposed the password number 91 on purpose, 23. Subsequent posts on here were then made by Anons. Timestamps verify, use logic, understood, be careful who you follow. Again, this is this battle of people saying that Q's not real and Q having to prove him/themselves over and over again. Okay, Donald Trump posted this. This is just beyond bizarre. So back in 2013, a lady named Loretta Fuddy, who was Hawaii's Department of Health person, and she was the one who verified Obama's birth certificate and said, yes, 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 it's real. She died in this small plane crash. You know, Q says 7 out of 10 are not accidents. And he said, how amazing that state health director who verified copies of Obama's birth certificate died in a plane crash today. All others lived. And Q said about that, the truth has been in front of you the entire time. All right, now I want to show you a couple of things. So here's this. Now, I think I have possibly the video of this, but there's a video on YouTube. Here's Loretta Fuddy. Everyone survived the plane crash. It didn't really even crash. They just put it down in the water, that one of the engines went out. And here she is floating around. Her assistant helped her put on a life jacket, and she was floating around, and then all of a sudden she was dead. Everyone got rescued. 9 people got rescued, or 8, and she was the 9th, and she died. Some people swam to shore. Now, this is what I want to show you. All right, I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'm starting in the middle. Loretta Fuddy and the mystery scuba divers caught on camera. Now, you're going to be watching right in here, and you're going to see a scuba diver come up. Okay, so these people, there they are. Look at there. I don't know if you saw it. You see that? That's a scuba diver there. The speculation is the scuba diver killed her. And it was planned that she, you know, why is there a scuba diver there in the middle of that? Doesn't make any sense. So you've got Donald Trump saying that, you've got this picture of her floating around, and all of a sudden, she's just dead. So the speculation is, if Obama really wasn't born here, he was never eligible to be president, his whole presidency was a fraud, and Q says the truth has been in front of you the entire time. So that's pretty exciting. I think we'll end there. I do want to go back and pray. This Numbers 10:35, rise up, Lord, and let thine enemies be scattered, and let them that hate thee flee before thee. So, Father, we just pray. Again, we come to you, the same prayer many times, Father. Let the truth be exposed. Father, those that are running out of patience, remind them to take a chill pill, because things that are important take time. This mess was not created in a year or a year and a half, and it can't be undone quickly either. So help us to have patience. Help us to trust you, to know, Father, that you hate injustice, especially towards widows and orphans. And we know that the poor are the ones that are get the worst of this, because especially the middle class poor that wonder if they're going to have enough money to buy that new refrigerator when the old one conks out. So, Father, we just ask you, your heart is for those that are oppressed, especially widows and orphans. So, for the widows and orphans, for the children that are abused, for the women that are sex trafficked, for all of us, Father, that want justice, we want to see justice done. We know that you're able to do that, and we ask you for it. And bring the guilty out, Father. Let them be exposed and punished, and that the innocent, we know that no one's pure as a wind-driven snow, but there are people that have been accused that aren't guilty of what they've done. We pray that they would all be exonerated. And Father, may you receive all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise when this happens. We give you our thanksgiving in advance for what you're about to do. In Jesus' name, amen. And thank you all so much for hanging out this long. And I got a really sweet letter in the mail today from some lovely people, and it meant a lot, and a gift, and that was really sweet. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.